Agni without na mama, because you are not eating so much. You are satisfying others.
Correct. Okay, so before we begin...
That's the reason when you people cook, the taste will be excellent.
That's right. So before we begin the 300 and I think 303rd verse. Yeah, no, 302nd verse. I have one suggestion or one recommendation to make. Is that, is it possible for all of you to find at least 1 hour of spare time to reflect upon the previous day shloka and the next day shloka, what we are trying to do? At least the previous day, if not the next. So let's say we end up in 305 or 6 or whatever it is, and we start with 302. Is it possible to have 1 hour where you reflect, you read from a shloka from any book on the internet? You can download Vivekachudamani and you can read through the Sanskrit and English or whatever language you are comfortable with, or Malayalam or Kannada or whatever, and then come up with your own way of implementing it in your work or family life or whatever it is. If you can do that, you will gain much faster and your experiences will start to show up. And a day will come when you will be able to share a lot of experience on a daily basis. Otherwise, what would happen is that I become the speaker and you become listener, which really doesn't make sense, because we have crossed the mark or the marker of Shravana. Manana has also happened. Now we are in practice. But if we are incapable of practicing, then it becomes a problem. So now, from whatever we have learned so far, there are two approaches. One approach is to leave everything and go. One approach is staying in wherever you are and doing it. Now, if we take the second one, which is what we are doing, that we don't want to quit our jobs or family or whatever it is, and then that doesn't make sense also to do it for whatever reasons. Now, can we spare another 1 to 2 hours regularly without a break? So let's say, just like we have lunch and dinner and all that, can we make ourselves available, not for discussion, that is not the aim, that we don't have to meet up to discuss, but you can make the time any within the end of the day before you sleep, can be whatever that time is. Make 1 hour and go through the shlokas what we would be covering in the morning, and then reflect upon them on how you want to do it. So next day, that 1 hour what you will be spending will be on this. Then again you take the next set of shloka what you would have completed, and like that. So one day shloka you go through it, next day you sit for that 1 hour like in meditation and go through that shloka again and see how you want to implement in your daily life. That is next day when you wake up. So today is today is Wednesday, and let's say tomorrow when we meet up again, we are continuing on that. So then we get a holiday on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So in this week we have 3 holidays and festival is also there. Now tomorrow when we meet up, and today when you make yourself 1 hour time, let's say you are going to 302 and 303 and 304, 305, like that, till we finish, wherever we finish. Can you see how do you want to implement it tomorrow? And try it out to the best of your ability in your daily activity, right from brushing the teeth to going to sleep. How do you want to do it? If you can do that, then slowly it develops the nididhyasana, wherein you will be able to do it at any given point in time. Meaning it's a good news or bad news or neutral news or whatever it is, your mind will not get disturbed. This is a suggestion what I thought yesterday, because this 302nd verse onwards, it's not tough, but it becomes only theory. Meaning unless I really have practiced this, it makes no sense to read out 302 and 3 and 4 and 5, because he only continues to talk about that. And then 306, 7, 8, 9 will end the ego. But we all have ego. So we are, in my opinion, today morning I was reflecting, we are not really doing what Shankara is asking us to do. So that means we are taking sin of not going by what Shankara says. We are doing what we want to do and in the name of Shankara, which is not good. Having come so far. So if we feel that the Guru in us is Shankara, then he is giving this. So at least for the sake of Shankara, we need to do that. So that's my suggestion. I don't know how much time really you have or you don't have, or you might have various compulsions. But if we don't have Guru Shraddha, it's not going to help us. Meaning, whatever we learn, it's not my learning actually. I am reading out from the book. So I can't claim this to be my own knowledge. This knowledge is coming due to Shankara. So if I sincerely don't do it, and I keep on reading the interpretation and adding my own thing into that and then explaining the Sanskrit there, maybe I'm a very good in Sanskrit and in very well I can explain the concept, but experiential reality might not be there for me, which means I'm insulting the Guru, because he has put in so much of effort to have this knowledge passed on from generations to generations, and very luckily it has come to us and we are able to understand. So the two things which have happened, one is that our intellect is sharp and hence we are able to understand, and two is that due to our past good deeds we are able to grasp it, and also we are able to spend time on that. So what do you think? Can you spend 1 hour time for yourself on this, or do you think it's a challenge?
For me, reserving 1 hour separately may be a challenge, but sometimes yes, of course, yes. And more of that mananam, going through what has happened yesterday and what is going to be taught in the next class. That is, yes, it's interesting also to do that. And also reflecting throughout. Whenever any situation comes, in a normal situation, nothing. Whenever the situation comes where it needs emotion, it happens either happy or sad, both. During that time, suddenly this comes. That happens by default. During that time, just trying to address that issue through this approach. That is what is happening within me. So I think what I'm very much impressed was that other day in the Pancha Sutras, in that one sutra was be away from your place and you just do that. That is a huge impact which I have seen during that Himalaya time. Huge, because The mind is completely zero about day to day, this life, family affair. It is completely in some other place. Okay, and if you refine that further, instead of along with the people there also, even if you are with the people, you can be alone. That is very much possible, not necessarily on Himalaya, it can be anywhere which we like, place.
Correct.
And monthly once, either Ekadashi day or full moon day, something like that, we have to reserve for dhyana for longer duration. Daily dhyana is required, but monthly once or twice, you should do it at much longer period. And with that, it is very much possible.
Right. So whatever.
Why 1 hour not possible? Because of our office and family balancing.
Fine. Absolutely agreeable. So my request is that somehow we need to involve in this. Otherwise, the experience might not really happen. Okay. So let's start on 302. So what he says is that there are snakes. So he talks from the snake which is going to bite. This Brahmananda Nidhi is safeguarded by snake. It will not going to allow anybody to touch that. And that dreadful serpent is called as ego. Ankara Gora Ahina. So even though the Brahmananda Nidhi is very big one, but this Ahankara doesn't allow anything to touch that because it wants to exist. It doesn't allow anything else to happen to that. So it is there in Atmani. Atmani here is the mind, not about the Atma what we are talking. We have left Atma a long time ago. So it is encoiled in the mind, samaveshtya, in equal way, coiling. Rakshyate guna mayaihi. So it protects by using 3 gunas. Chandaihi tribidaihi mastikaihi. So it has 3 heads. The center head is very poisonous, called as Rajas. The left hand side head is the Tamas, which can burn immediately if touched. And the Sattva is another head which looks good but is equally poisonous. So the only way to do it is Vijnana Akhya Maha Asina Shruti Mata Vichidhya Shirsha Trayam. So with the great sword of realization, that is, we need to realize that there is no individual. There is nobody called as a person. There is no personality. There is no Atma which is permanently residing and going from one body to another body. It is the Brahman which exists and nothing else exists. And which is in accordance with the scriptural teachings. You need to strangle all the 3 heads without showing any compassion even to Sattva. Nirmulya ahim imam, by completely destroying the ego serpent. Nidhim sukakaram dhiraha anubhuktam kshamaha. This treasure would bring that bliss, and it becomes available for the wise man to enjoy. Now I will tell you practically what it really means. In the given day, Rajas is movement. So this snake keeps on moving. We keep on moving from the morning when we wake up to various activities what we have planned to undertake. I am existing and I am doing it is tamas, whereas I am doing it for Sri Krishna Arpanamastu is sattva. But all the three are poisonous snakes. They don't have any compassion at all. Their job is to ensure that the next day life is protected. So it protects. Sattva is equally poisonous like tamas. So there cannot be, it's like a sweet pill, but it is having its visha, poison, but in a very sweet form. Now, what a human being or what a being would do is the ego, which is having these three hoods, first will think from rajas, the movement. Then there is inertia, which is tamas, slowness, dullness, and darkness. Then there is brightness and clarity, which is sattva. Now what it does is, it believes in two things. Whatever I have today is insufficient. So I need things for tomorrow. And I need things for the next 10 years. I need things for another 20 years. Am I completely having security for the next 30 years or 20 years or 10 years? I have this family. I need to take care of this family. I need to ensure that they are doing well, etc., etc., etc. Not knowing that when it goes to sleep, all the three gunas are sleeping. All the three snakes are sleeping. And the ego is also sleeping. And the manas is also sleeping. The buddhi is also sleeping. The chitta is also sleeping. Only the Brahman is existing. It doesn't know. And it doesn't want to know also. Because if it knows, then these three snakes don't exist. Or that the one snake with three hoods don't exist. So, if somebody were to ask, do you have tomorrow? Even though the person would just as a lip service say that, yeah, it depends, and we all know that the tomorrow doesn't exist. But deep inside, we all are working towards that tomorrow. Now, Sattva will say that, yeah, tomorrow is not there, but if you pray to God, tomorrow will be granted. And the Tamas believes that tomorrow is certainty. And Rajas will move either towards Sattva or towards Tamas. Now, this problem can never be solved. Meaning, the past impressions and the future expectation can never be solved, because the mind will keep on making these adjustments through the buddhi, ahankara, and chitta. So the chittas will give that experience of tomorrow, and it will give the experience of yesterday. So I can directly go to those chittas, and it gives life. So I can see from the memory how I was yesterday, 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 10 months ago, 1 year ago. Like that I can keep on going. And I can create an anticipation of the future. If I am taking care of my health, I will be better next few years. And if I am taking care of my wealth, I would be much better. If I am taking care of the family, I'll be much better. All of that would be there. But if that anticipation is changed for some reason, then the mind shivers. So that means rajas literally keeps on shaking. So it has to fall somewhere, and 99.9% it will fall into tamas. So when it falls into inertia or darkness, just like the movie being played, the person is completely engrossed in, or the consciousness is engrossed in that movie which is getting projected. So then the near and dear relations, etc., if something happens to them negatively, then there is worry, anxiety, sadness, despair, helplessness, etc. If something good is happening, then there is celebration, like birthday celebration, anniversary celebration, marriage celebration, Upanayana celebration, all these celebrations, including Homa and Havana, then some recitals, then bhajana mandalis, and this and that. So many things. All are poison. None of them is real. So unless this serpent is cut off, that means this ego is cut off, no liberation is possible. So the first thing is to know that you need to transcend rajas, tamas, sattva as indicated in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which we have already gone through. Now the transcending is what is spoken here. So in the 16th chapter, Krishna talks about cleaning the mind. And what the cleaning here is to cut all the three, rajas, tamas, sattva, which means there would be no mind, no ego, no buddhi, no chitta. And that is what is Shankara's opinion on Nirvana Shataka, that there is buddhi, chitta, ahankara, manas is not there. They are cut off totally. So first thing to be done is reduce the poison from sattva, because it always has a very less poison. So remove the poison completely from sattva, so that that snake is literally harmless. And then using sattva, make this rajas to always fall on sattva. Then the tamas will get strangled. If the tamas gets strangled, it means it dies. I cannot remove poison from tamas, but what I can do is cut off that head. Then I cut off the head of the rajas. So there is no longer it can go here and there. It stays wherever it is, which is sattva. And finally cut the sattva. If the sattva itself is not there, then only Brahman would be there. The individual is gone forever, never coming back. So after this life, there is no further life, because there is no fodder for its existence. So he says in 303rd verse, Yavat va yat kinchit vishadosha spurtihi asti chet dehe katham arogya ya bhavet tadvat ahanta api yoginaha muktyai. Yavat, when, vayat kinchit, even a little trace, visha dosha spurtihi asti chetdehe, this effect of poison, even if it is in little, a milligram remaining in the body, katham arogya aya bhavet, how can one hope to be completely recovered? Tadvat ahanta api yoginaha muktyai. Similarly, this ego sense is like poison. Even the little bit of that poison, little bit of ego, is sufficient to spoil, because it brings back rajas, tamas and sattva. So now you have to create serum for that snake. Aham aha atyanta nivritya tat krita nana vikalpa samhritya pratyak tattva vivekat idam aham asmi iti vindate tattvam. By the complete cessation of the ego sense, the diverse waves which are created from the mental mind creates waves due to the presence of chitta, and buddhi will increase that wave pattern, and ahankara thinks or ahankara feels that it is me who is creating it. So by cessation of the ego, nivritya, vritti is modification, so nivritti is no longer able to modify. So yogaha chitta vritti nirodha, so the vritti is not there. If vritti is not there, the chitta will fall flat. If the chittas are falling flat, then the manas dies. If manas dies, then the buddhi is no longer there. If the buddhi and manas is not there, ego cannot say that I am, because there is no identifier, and in that way there is no experiencer. So there is nothing to experience, there is nothing to say that experienced. But what you feel is you still exist without any one of these qualifiers. So now when you experience that without ego, now the question comes, how can one experience himself or herself when he himself or herself is not there? Now this is where the buddhi will start to question logically, how is it possible? Now there is no logical answer to this, and there is no convincing answer at all. That how can you cleanse your mind without mind? How can you cleanse the buddhi without the buddhi? How can you have a subtle intellect and cleanse the gross intellect? These are terms that are used because we don't know what to say in that state. But actually, logically or methodically or scientifically or in whatever way we want to put it, this cannot be put. And now the question comes, then if the experienced and experiencer and the object to be experienced itself is not there, now what do you mean by experience? Again it becomes part of buddhi, and again there is no answer to that. So he says, just do discrimination. Now again the question comes, who is the discriminator and what is being discriminated? Because he says, vindate tattvam. Now who is this person who is experiencing the reality? If manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara are not there, then who is this person to whom this experience have to go? And unfortunately, there is no answer, because it is beyond all the four. So now 302nd verse, especially when we take a sword and cut all the three heads, rajas, tamas, sattva. Now, what is there to experience? Because without that, nothing can be experienced. So if I have to say I am experiencing bliss, I am should be there to experience bliss. Otherwise, what is bliss then? And he says in 303rd verse, even a trace of ego is poisonous. So that means if I were to say that I experience bliss, it is little bit of ego. Yes, but
Yeah, the experience of Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. So they are like three headaches of this serpent. So in this, if you cut all three, then what is there to experience?
that's exactly the problem is. That is exactly what
Okay, that is one part. Second part is, currently we experience something, this world. We are experiencing this world through sattvic, this vasana. Everything is sattvic for us, right? If you see the same thing through rajasic, it's rajasic.
Correct.
See, there are two experiences. One is which is related to inert. It's only material, gold, for example. Anything material related. Other experiences, other person's mind related. There are two experiences we are getting there. So we are watching this experience. When you look at other person, immediately that sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic comes into picture. The moment we see only the gold, do we have there also these three gunas coming when we experience?
Yes. You will identify gold because of rajas, and you feel gold is precious because of tamas, and you give value to that gold because it is tamas. And if you feel like you should not be accumulating gold, then it is sattva.
Okay, got it. The moment I see something, any one of these things will be there. There is nothing called mix up two, right? It is only one. Either rajas means you will be seeing that one through rajas only.
No.
It can be mixed of three when I look
It
at
is always mixed. So that is why the 16th chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains very clearly that there is always a competition between rajas, sattva, and tamas. They all three will compete for the space of ego. So the ego is sattvic with sattvic with rajasic and tamas. Sometimes the ego is tamasic, rajas, sattva. Sometimes the ego is filled with rajas, tamas, sattva. And sometimes the ego is filled with rajas, sattva, tamas.
Okay, it's a mixer. It's like a liquid mixing, 2-3 liquid. It's not like a solid one after the. Okay. So that is when I look at this material. But the same thing will be there when I deal with the human, right?
Yes, I will give you a very beautiful example. But now that we are having Navaratri, right? So now I want to do puja. Say some Devi puja for the 9 days. Let us say Durga Ashtami. Okay. Is it sattvic? Is it rajasic or is it tamasic? What is predominant?
Durga Ashtami, if you see from that angle, it's all Vaibhava. Vaibhava is coming under tamasic. You want to show.
Identification that it is Durga Ashtami is tamas. Believing that Durga is going to bless me is rajas. Doing the puja, aradhana of Durga is sattva.
That means giving food and dhanam is sattva.
Correct.
What is tamasic here?
Tamasic here is that the Durga Ashtami itself, the name Durga Ashtami.
But where is tamas there?
Tamas is darkness, right? So you start to believe that there is something called the Durga Ashtami.
You believe something which is not really true. Oh, that is called tamas. Okay.
See, Durga exists every day. It doesn't come once in a year.
Yeah, every time, all the time. Yes, correct.
And we also have Father's Day, Mother's Day, Brother's Day, Sister's Day, this day, that day. All that is tamas.
Mhm.
Then we say Independence Day, then we say Country Day, when Statehood Day, then Language Day, Custom Day, all that is tamas.
Okay.
So the moment, let us say, I am celebrating 1st of November, I feel I am a proud Kannadiga. And I wear a t-shirt called as Kannadam Galgate.
Mm.
Now, is it sattvic, is it rajasic, or is it tamasic? Believing that there is a Kannada Rajyotsava or Andhra statehood or this statehood, that statehood is tamas.
Mm.
The preparation what I am doing to make that happen is rajas. And donating food or doing something or gifting something is sattva.
Okay.
But the net effect is what? Ego.
Mm.
So we have to cut all the three.
So this mixer works. Mhm.
This is what is working all the time.
If you have to cut all three, don't do that.
Don't worry about the language, don't worry about the customs, tradition, this, that, country, population, family, bank balance, etc., 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 etc. Then you are Brahman.
It is like this. You have a nice temple. There is, from within Hindu I am talking about. There is one person with a very backward community. We will not allow that person to even enter that temple. Outside Mahadwara. No. And this is completely tamasic in nature.
Yes.
When you say Vishwamanava is a spirituality. That is Mahapurusha, Purusha Sukta. Then what we are doing is completely adhamakarya.
Yes.
So that is one of the reason, so-called, that Hinduism is also deteriorating.
Correct. So,
But when you have,
yeah.
tamasic is always, life is short. Okay, one day it has to die. Nature will take care. But when you have only sattvic in nature, that will live for long. Sattvic will have sattva, right? Sattva is nothing but essence.
Yes, the problem with sattva is it will get rebirth in heaven and again comes back. There is no mukti.
See, this knowledge, so-called Bhagavad Gita is called sattvic, right?
Yeah, Padmashri, go ahead. Padmashri, I can't hear you.
I think we lost you. I think a bandwidth issue.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Vishal, this Bhagavad Gita as such, it is called what? Sattvic?
It's very difficult to be only in sattva.
1 second. Yeah, Padmashri, you go ahead with your explanation.
What I
You have internet issue.
Can't hear.
And yeah.
it is in 4G only.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Now we can hear you.
Maybe you can rejoin. Sometimes it works.
Yeah. No, what I meant is that it is very difficult to be in a pure sattva state. It is like a camphor exposed to the atmosphere. It can never stay in that state. Meaning camphor is there, but then it will just evaporate. It can never be in that state at all, because when sattva is there, it is always based on some tamasic guna, because you are recognizing. If recognizing something, giving nama rupa is tamasic, then sattva is always following something with that nama rupa. So it is difficult to be only in pure sattva state. That is what I'm saying.
Yes, you're right.
It will always be a combination of the three with very less proportion of the remaining two. If you are saying you are a sattva person, being zero tamas, zero rajas plus 100% sattva is not a state which will be stable. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, then you'll be dead at that moment.
Yes.
Yes. So, but to say what is Bhagavad Gita, it is actually samatva. The entire 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita teaches samatva, which is called as Sthita Prajna.
No, you're giving the meaning of that Bhagavad Gita. I have understood Sthita Prajna. My question is, Bhagavad Gita is knowledge. It's knowledge. Okay, it's there in the written form in a book now. That's what we see. Earlier it never used to be book. It is somebody's teaching. So what is that called? Is there a guna to this?
No, there is no
As a
guna.
knowledge?
No, it is gunatita.
It's a gunatita. Okay, I just wondered that.
Yes.
That is gunatita. But the fact that you recognize Bhagavad Gita to be the greatest knowledge
Is tamas.
Is tamas.
So I should not
Tamas
recognize.
is not in Bhagavad Gita. Tamas is in within us.
Yeah, correct.
See, but it is like this. Anything we recognize as father, as son, daughter, wife, husband, blah, blah, is tamas.
So when I recognize with the nama and rupa and attach is tamas, right?
No. The recognition itself is darkness.
Yeah, what is the attachment then called? I am attached to that.
You are
That's also tamas?
yes, that is
That's further tamas.
Yeah.
That is another degree of tamas.
exactly.
Yes.
it is see, you have already made it dark, and it is the darkest.
See, now the interesting thing is, we say that Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Deva Bhava, Acharya Deva Bhava, because these three people are very important. We are doing through Sattvic Bhavana there.
Right. But
And where is tamas in these three things?
When you do this up and down things, you're having a problem, because see, these are all steps to reach the ultimate thing. And when we are talking about the ultimate thing, again you cannot go to step one and then say that in step one we bring Matra Deva Bhava, Pitra Deva Bhava. See, we have crossed all that and come to a stage wherein we are telling anything, any recognition, any attachment is tamas. Then it is not about those, whether those are right or wrong. They are steps for us to come here. So you
Correct.
cannot go back to the first step and
Fully agree with you. I fully agree with you. My question is, when you practice the first one, age of 7, the teacher, he gives this message to that student. You do namaskara to these three people, great people. During that time, for that student of 7-year-old, in the first step, what is that called? Is my question.
We should never even analyze that for that child. It is a manas which we are talking about now. Why are we talking about some child, some manas that is there? Meaning, at that time that was right. Even dwelling on all those things, now is, according to me, tamas. Because see, we have passed all those things. Meaning, even in our learning, we have passed all those things.
Yeah, see, here my question is with respect to time, is this is Sattvic, Tamasic and Rajasic, is it changing, is my question. Because that time, if it is Sattvic, the same thing, now it is Tamasic. Is it possible?
Yeah, because at that time the other alternative would be that the child is growing without any knowledge, without any reason, without having anything. But that is not called tamasic again, because
Yes.
not recognizing that everything is sattva in a child.
Correct. So the same Sattva.
And here what we are doing is, by doing all these things, we are bringing him to a worldly one, so that he understands the worldly life and then goes to chooses the path of awareness. When you are having a child which is not exposed to anything, then there is no awareness. That is ignorance. You are making the child learn everything and then identify that as something that is not required and go to awareness. That is What is the difference between
correct.
a child which is not taught any of these things and a child who is taught all these things and is asked to give up on all these things at a later date?
Yes, my question is answered. That is also the neti is this, right? Initially, I knew what it is. Later on, I say it is not that.
Right.
Good. Thank you,
No, I'm more looking at it from a practical perspective, meaning yes, neti is that, but the point is that just because we grow up a child without having any of these bhavana does not mean that child is in complete knowledge or it has got the jnana, and meaning it will go into its jnana. It is just that you bring it to the world and then make it understand that is not there, as you said rightly, like neti, and then say that all these are unreal.
Yeah, so the conclusion here is, but if we recognize, if we identify, it is tamas. And if we move towards identification, the rajas is moving towards tamas. If we are moving towards non-identification, it is moving towards sattva. Okay, so the rajas is turning towards sattva or it is turning towards tamas. Now what you need to
see in our office work, most of the things are happening with the identification only.
Correct.
Without attribute, you don't deal with anything. And there we have a lot of people with the, even though we are recognizing, but what we are doing there is most of either sattvic or rajasic.
No, the movement itself is rajasic. See, what does
The moment happens, yes. We write emails, things are, moving from today to tomorrow. Anything is rajasic. So maximum is the rajasic then, the activities. Activity means rajasic, right?
But it will fall into something. It cannot stay as rajas forever.
So it is the intention with which you are doing things that decides whether what is the major portion that is there inside.
Correct.
Meaning whether it is tamasic, whether if you're nurturing ill will and those kinds of things and do an email writing an email might still be rajasic. But the whole thing is the intent behind how the mind is working. So it's all in the mind. So even if you're saying sattva, there might be so many people who are doing things in the right way, with the right intent. Then the sattva portion will be more, but still they will have that bit of tamas and rajas to the extent that they are recognizing it, and that recognition has led them to some action. So you are having both tamas and rajas there, and your mind intent is clean, so your sattva is also there. So it is always a combination of these three. Mind is a combination of these three. It only depends on how much, what proportion it is, and what is the intent, and that decides the proportion of the sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Okay, can I say this?
First, let me check with Vilas whether my understanding is right.
I think you have nicely explained. I mean, I forget this question. Then Vilas can, including that, he can respond. I think it's convincing to me, whatever you have told. Now, see, when I am dealing with that, I have intent is sattvic. But I am dealing with some situation. I am recognizing the situation. Recognition is tamasic. Dealing is rajasic. Intention is sattvic. So all that can happen in one action and within the short span of say 5 minutes.
Yes, it can.
Without your knowledge, we are always, every millisecond of our life, we are a combination of these three.
Interesting. So far, my understanding was a person is sattvic means a sattvic type of person. Now I know that sattvic is dominated. Other two things will be there.
But it is like this. See, most often how you deal with things, that will tell you your most prominent behavior. That's all. If you say a person who is rajasic doesn't have any sattva, that is also wrong. There will be some sattva. A person who is tamasic doesn't have any sattva, that is also wrong. It's a prominent behavior which you exhibit in most of the situations. That makes you that type of a person. But does not mean that you are not a combination of these three, you are a combination of just one.
Yes.
It can never happen because human beings will be a combination of these three at any point in time. Even the worst guy, meaning who according to the laws of the land is supposed to be a very bad guy, will have some amount of sattva in him. The person who is considered to be the most sadhu will have certain amount of tamas and rajas in him.
Yes,
Because
Okay.
people are a combination of.
Yeah, perfect. Now I would like to jump to one point. See, any karma we do, you will have karma phala, and you have to go through that through three karmas. So, unknowingly, if I kill a person, there is no papam, right? Yeah.
no, it's not like that. It is
See,
tamas.
knowingly doing it is tamasika, you know. Unknowingly, if it happens,
No, the thing is like
and
this.
even that man got killed, it is not tamasik.
No, there are certain things that we have to say that the act itself is not. If there is a killing of a person, that act itself is not considered as sattva. Meaning that act, you have made an act, that act is not there. Meaning that act, there is a lot of tamas or rajas involved in it. That act itself, whether you did it knowingly, you didn't do it knowingly, that act has already been committed, and that is already a part of rajas or tamas. Now, without the what do you call the karma, or the expected result of that action will be different if your intent is different.
Intent. It is intent based. That's what I'm telling.
Yes, it is intent.
Okay, I got a clarification. Most of the things now. Maybe you can give concluding remarks.
Vilas, you please help me when understanding this, because I want to be sure that I've understood it.
No,
right.
you have understood it perfectly right. There is no flaw in that. In every person, there you will find sattva, rajas, tamas. If there is an identification, whether good identification or bad identification, all the three gunas are there. So you have to strangle out all the three gunas if you want to be peaceful. So that is the final outcome of this 303, 2 and 3. So what it really means is for all the four of us, if we feel that we have a family and we are working for a family, it means we are in tamas. Okay, that is first thing. And it is moving towards tamas. That is, rajas is moving towards tamas. But then I am most ethical, most humble, most purest in my intention. That is sattva. I am not cheating on my wife, I am not cheating on my son, I am not doing any wrongdoings, etc., is sattva. So, the family obligation itself is tamas. So, predominantly I am sattvic with tamas and rajas. So, nobody can be 100% sattvic. There is no concept called 100% sattvic. So now what is sattva? If we were to essence, what it means? Essentially, you are just consciousness. If you know you are just consciousness, then you die. The ego is dead. It cannot recognize anything now. So the problem is solved. And since it is a poisonless snake, it dies immediately. Like what example Padma Shri gave about camphor. That's a beautiful example to give. So now if you keep camphor, it will evaporate. So sattva will immediately evaporate. It doesn't stay. And since tamas and rajas is not there, the person is completely dead. So he is dead from inside, he is dead from outside. And this is what the precisely 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is all about. So when the people wake up, the yogi is sleeping. When the yogi wake up, people are sleeping. So if you identify, or if I identify, I am so and so, ego is there. Whether little bit of ego or sattvic ego or this ego, that ego, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It is ego. So he says, remove the ego.
Yes.
So that's exactly what we are supposed to do in 302, 3 and 4. 9:30 now.
Yeah, I think 2, 3, 4. Fine.
2, 3,
We
4.
will come prepared for tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, and thanks, Padma Shri,
Thank you.
for your nice comments. It was correct.
It was excellent comment. I like Padma Shri today.
No, thank you. I was just trying to tell my understanding.
No, that is correct. That's a very correct understanding. Absolutely fine. You're on dot.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.